I'm Johnny Massacre, and welcome to the Johnny Massacre Show. On tonight's show, how to fix Halo Infinite, plus Brie Larson's YouTube channel continues to be terrible, and finally, the UK's war on obesity. So how to fix Halo Infinite. If you watched my last show, or if just generally you haven't been living under a rock, you will have noticed that Halo Infinite looks rather poor graphically, and the memes have started. So people have been screenshotting this one frame where Master Chief melees a brute, and the brute looks like a poor man's Thanos, a discount welfare Thanos, rendered in low resolution. And everyone's been caning the game. So I've been thinking, how the fuck can you fix Halo? So the Halo demo started off with the ship crash landing on the Halo ring. And that's pretty much it. So the story was kind of shit. So I thought they should have done this. I'm going to go for broke on this one. So this should be the narrative of the Halo Infinite title. This is how they should fix it. So Master Chief is being tortured. The scene opens with Master Chief being tortured, and that is going to make you instantly reconnect with Master Chief, because no one likes seeing anyone get tortured. So it's going to make us connect with the character, and it's going to make us hate the antagonist so bad. All the antagonists that torture protagonists are the best antagonists. They're real fuckers. Darth Vader did a bit of torture. And then there's more extreme torture. Batman, he had his back broken by Bane. That's the ultimate form of torture, crippling you so you're constantly in pain. It's a very efficient torture, because once you break someone's back, then you don't have to do anything else, and they're physically and mentally broken. RoboCop, science fiction, and a franchise with massive parallels to Halo, because RoboCop looks like Master Chief. You can't tell me Master Chief wasn't influenced by RoboCop. So why not borrow a bit from RoboCop? So RoboCop, they don't just torture the protagonist, they mutilate him. And that's the important part. So going with the RoboCop script, I'm going to convert that into Halo. So Master Chief's being tortured. So you feel sorry for him, for the hero, and you want him to win. It sets up the antagonist nicely. And Halo Chief's arm is exposed, so they've smashed off his armor. It's a bit like RoboCop, where they liquidate his hand with shotguns, but they smash off his armor. And that is something we haven't seen before. We haven't seen the Halo armor break. And I think all the legendary weapons or tools in franchises like Marvel Comics and stuff, they always get broken at some point. Wolverine's claws get broken, and I think Archangel, he got his wings fucked, or Angel gets his wings clipped in X-Men. They all get fucked in X-Men. But anyways, yeah, seeing the main kind of armor or weapon get destroyed is always traumatizing, a bit like torture. So they somehow explode the armor off his wrist, or they get it off his arm, and they basically cut his hand off. So this shit works because it's from Star Wars. You cut Luke's hand off, sets up the antagonist Vader really well, and you really, really want them to get revenge. So they cut Master Chief's fucking hand off to get the armor off. And this is the inciting incident. So what is the inciting incident? The inciting incident is a very important part of any self-respecting story arc. It is where the protagonist's life is affected in a terrible way. Something happens to him that's beyond his control, and his life will never be the same anymore. And that is usually the thing that sets the protagonist off on the journey. So in Star Wars, Luke's parents get killed, basically. And his life will never be the same after that. He can't stay on the planet anymore, and he has to go with Obi-Wan. So in this one, his hand gets cut off. So his life will never be the same. He finally becomes mortal, and he's a cripple. So he's going to have to rework the way that he goes into battle, if he can go into battle at all. So, as I said, this will make the antagonist super hateable. You'll hate him so much. Life will never be the same for Master Chief, and so he sets out on his journey. The superhero is crippled, like Batman having his back broken that I mentioned before. Also, Spider-Man had his eye plucked out by someone. I think he was called Hunter or something like that. And that always, I think that engaged readers. There's something morbidly fascinating about seeing your hero get mutilated in some way, and it's painful. for Master Chief. So where do we go from there? So they've got the armor plating from his arm, and now we're going to go into Terminator 2 style shit. So in Terminator 2, they basically find the arm that's left behind from the Terminator after Sarah Connor kills it at the end of the first movie, and they use that technology to build the Terminators that will later take over the world and cause the apocalypse. So in this, it's going to be similar. So they've got Master Chief's Mjolnir armor, and they're going to use it like the Chinese do when they get the Western technology and they exploit it and they try to make their own version of it. So there's this big fight between the aliens over Master Chief's armor. So you've got the brutes who took it, and then you've got the elites, and they're fighting to get hold of it, and also maybe the Flood are fighting to get hold of it as well. So that's going to create an interesting plot dynamic, and that sets up the whole war of the Halo universe. So there's going to be a war between people who are fighting for something that's from you, and when one side starts losing, you kind of join forces with them in order to push back the other side, and there'll be a lot of double crossing, as you can imagine, in that situation. And so yeah, elites and brutes fighting, and then Master Chief gets an upgrade to counter these fuckers. So one of them actually manages to use his technology. And so you've got hardcore brutes with Mjolnir armor and hardcore elites with Mjolnir armor. So Master Chief needs something more. So it's like America always upgrading their fighter jets. They always try to stay one step ahead. And the boys in UNSC, in the Halo universe, they've been developing some new armor because it's like a wearable tank. It's like a wearable fighter jet anyway. And so because he's lost his arm, they're going to give him some new thing on his arm, and you're going to get some mad attachment. And that would be the interesting new thing for multiplayer and the interesting new functional gameplay mechanic for the Halo series, where now you've got kind of attachments on your arm. You could have a fucking chainsaw, you could have a melee weapon, you could have a cannon, like a bit like Mega Man. And that would make sense with the grappling hook and all that kind of stuff. And so he's a bit like Iron Man in a way, because he's like a fighter jet anyways, isn't he? And then how do you finish the game off? So in Halo 1, if you have ever played that, when you finish the game, you go all the way back through the game in reverse, but it's a little bit different right to the start. So in the spirit of Halo, since 343, the new developers of Halo that have superseded Bungie about 10 years ago, they obviously want to go back to the spirit of what made Halo great, and that's why the Halo Infinite title for Xbox Series X looks so much like Halo 1. So in keeping with the spirit of Halo 1, let's make Master Chief go all the way back through the level, but this time all the enemies have got the Mjolnir armor that they've robbed from the technology, and because Master Chief's suit's been upgraded, he gets to put himself to the test against himself, so to speak. So he's battling himself, because as we know, you are your own worst enemy. And that can be part of the 10-year plan as games as a service for Halo Infinite. And I think later on, then you can get the upgraded suit for use in multiplayer and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I think they should do. I pretty much made that up off the top of my head, and I think you'll find it's already better than what they showed with the very drab Halo Infinite. I think that would be awesome. Just a little side note, mentioning games as a service, I'm really worried about this, because now game developers have realized that they don't need to make new games. They can just keep updating the same game over and over again. My best mate said there's a lot of positives to this, because he said as this service becomes more and more commonplace, they'll do mad things like serious graphical upgrades and shit like that. But the problem for me is these amazing franchises started out as single games, and when they make a sequel, they make it from the ground up, and so there's motivation to make it better. Just like with movie sequels, often they try to pull out all the stops to make something really sick and new. But if they're actually from the start of the project making it into a 10-year plan, so to speak, and a games as a service game, I think they're going to be looking at that monetization rather than just making a sick game on its own that maybe one day by chance could be extended in some way, such as a games as a service model. And I think you're going to get lazier and lazier companies. And what really worries me about this is I think this could stifle innovation, because they just want to get one little system and then milk it forever for minimal effort, as opposed to making a new game. And when innovation starts to get stifled and you get these huge companies making these big franchises, what happens is when the innovation stagnates, the big companies are worried about younger, fresher, interesting people who can be bothered to make original titles without selling out for this games as a service thing. And so in order to stop those up and coming people that might usurp them, what they'll do is they'll swallow them up and they'll absorb them. And so what I'm trying to say is these big companies, they try to make a cartel where they fix the prices and fix the market and price everyone else out of the market. You've seen that with Airbnb, the hotel industry, all grouped together because they weren't innovating anymore, and they lobbied the governments of their respective countries, and then the governments caved into the pressure and then over-regulated the hotel market, and it means the shitty older hotels managed to form this cartel and take control of the market. I think you'll see the same with games. Whenever there's a good new talent, it will get hoovered up into a company like EA, and then they'll just, like parasites, they'll suck all the blood out of them and destroy them and then move on to the next one. And eventually there'll be no competition. There'll just be about 5 or 6 huge franchises just pumping out new loot and new skins and slight new gameplay additions and maps. And you're not going to get new games. That would be the negative aspects of the 10-year plan and a games as a service model, which Halo is. And the terrifying thing about this is they've announced it's a games as a service game, and the game actually looks kind of shitty. So what? I'm going to be stuck with this game for the next 10 years. If this game were as good as Halo 3, then I'd be super happy it was a game as a service, because you get this sick game and they keep adding shit to it. But the game doesn't look good off the bat, and to have the spine of that game looking as crap as it does and unoriginal to boot, it's really worrying. They're doing a 10-year plan. It's all part of Microsoft's games Game Pass. They were selling that so hard on their games reveal and gameplay reveal, which is lame because no one gives a fuck about, really, people just want sick games. That's all they fucking want. But yeah, I guess they're trying to turn Xbox into the Netflix of gaming, where you get a subscription, you get all the games, but they're always going to lock off the sick games. So anyways, rambling now. That is how I think you can fix Halo Infinite. So Brie Larson's got a YouTube channel, and oh man, we're really going to watch this. She basically wheels out this black person. It's one of many white celebrities where I see black pets with their white masters, and they wheel them out and they use them to get some kind of social credit, higher social credit score, so they can look like good people and look like they're helping a victim. But really, she strips the black woman in this video of all her dignity by making it out as if she has a kind of a shitty life in some way just because of her skin color. It's actually really weird reverse racism madness. If you want to see what I'm talking about, let's look at Brie Larson's YouTube channel. Yay. Man, this is going to be painful. All right.
Introduce yourself, please. I would love for you to introduce yourself.
Shut the fuck up, Brie. Okay, she's incredibly unlikable, this bitch. Let's see how much of this we can stomach. Take it away, baby.
Introduce yourself, please. I would love for you to introduce yourself how you would like to be introduced.
Okay, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Hi, everyone. My name is Justina Makwa. I am a beautiful black woman, and I am here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Johnny Massacre. I'm a beautiful white man. What? I didn't say it. She did. That's a little bit X-Files. That's a little bit this is a mystery. Someone call Fox, Mulder and Scully to come and solve this case, because this lady, she's talking in riddles, racial riddles.
We're chatting with my new bestie, Brie Larson.
Hello, everyone.
There's something disturbing about Brie Larson. Not that she's named after a piece of cheese, but there's some kind of maniacal look in her eye. She's got that serial killer girlfriend look. The kind of girl who'll snip off your meat and 2 veg just for giving her a dodgy look.
My shaky intro.
See?
I was part of this campaign. #ShareTheMicNow on Instagram.
Oh my God! So she's part of the campaign #ShareTheMicNow. So I can guess what this is. It's give the microphone and give a bit of your privileged spotlight to some poor, helpless black person. So we're going to paint all black people as pathetic, and we're going to make it out as if black people can't achieve anything on their own, which is again stripping them of all their dignity. But hey, Brie, you know, in your weird secular Hollywood bubble, you've got to fill that existential vacuum with something to make yourself feel better.
I think it was a couple months ago. I was partnered up with this woman named Justina. She is absolutely incredible and has become a huge, powerful force in my life. We have committed to continuing our conversations. We do them offline, but we thought it might be nice to film one of our conversations. So here you are. Here it is. Much love. Bye.
Stop talking, bitch.
So for those that don't know how...
The lady on the right, that wig is very ill-fitting. It looks like she went to a Halloween shop and she said, right, I want to be the Wicked Witch for Halloween. And they said, well, you're already bald, so you're pretty fucking scary. That's pretty witchy. But come on, we all know witches have got that long, straggly hair. So how about the Michael Jackson costume? Just the top part. There's your Halloween costume. Done.
We met. I guess we should start with that.
Yes. I mean, I feel like I've known you much longer. I think it's been about 2 months. There, give or take a little bit.
I don't expect this to last much longer, to be honest.
Essentially, we were both part of, I guess we can call it an inauguration, the inaugural Share the Mic. And essentially, we were two strangers that were paired together. The premise of...
I mean, that would be quite good for people in Hollywood because I think they don't really get to connect with regular people and they might go a bit crazy in their isolation. But then again, when it's all predicated on race and skin color and you're setting all black people up as losers before you've even spoken to them because they're all the same according to woke people, I don't really see how that's very helpful for anyone other than Cheese Larson, who it will just make her look like a good person because she's helping the poor black woman.
The initial campaign was for white women of prominence.
Oh my God, mate. Divide and conquer. Divide everyone up by race and gender. White people over here, black people over there, yellow people, not sure where to put you. We used to put you kind of closer to black people. We thought you were a little bit helpless, but statistics say you actually do quite well financially, generally in America. So we don't really know where to put you. Right? Yellow people go, just fucking go anywhere you like for now. Just get out of sight. And we're just going to divide you all up by color. And then what we're going to do is we're going to control you because you're really easy to control. Like herds of animals, right? It will put you in your pen and then you'll be nicely managed. And then when we whistle, you come over and then when we scream at you, you go back there, okay? And then that's it. We've achieved our goal of ultimate power.
To share their mic with lesser known black women, and Bree and I happen to be partnered together. It feels good to be able to have someone to talk to about what's going on in the world, to be able to speak freely, to have open dialogue, and to kind of pressure test all of the things that are happening.
There's just so...
What are you talking about? You're so non-specific. I feel like I'm losing IQ points just by listening to this.
So much going on in the world right now, so much coming to the surface, and it's just been incredibly, I just feel so grateful to know you and to be able to have had the conversations that we've had through this time. I love your mind so much. I love your heart. We just wanted to continue, for those watching, we just wanted to continue the conversation. That's just the simple thing. There's so much to read, to watch.
I would bang her though. She's actually not that bad. She's actually quite fit. Let's be honest. She's got a face of wonderful symmetry and very nice gnashes. She's pretty hot in a kind of skeletal, androgynous way.
There's a lot happening on the internet, and there's a lot of ways to educate oneself. But
oh my God, mate, do you really go on the internet for your education? No wonder you're such a loony.
There's also this, and I think we want to
there's also the find a poor black person and then wheel them out and then pretend I give a fuck thing,
share the conversations that we've been having and how we're kind of going about them and finding common ground together, because normalizing conversations about race is also very, very important.
Well,
why do you have to talk about race all the time? Why can't you just talk about meaningful shit like your own existence and philosophy? And why does it always have to be about race? Don't you get anxious and shit, always worrying about race and what color people are? Fuck, imagine going around thinking about that shit all the time.
Let's start out with like, how are you feeling? What's been going on in your
The bulwark of any liberal psyche, the feels. How do you feel? Because liberals define themselves on their feelings. I can't wait for this shit.
world?
So,
Oh man, oh god, brace yourselves for major nuclear cringe.
the honest answer is I feel inadequate a lot of the time. I feel anxiety sometimes. I feel very scared of hurting someone.
No wonder you're such a bitch. If you're always anxious, you're taking it out on other people. Sort it out, lady.
And
That's a little bit harsh. You know, people who have anxiety, I don't wish that upon anyone, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Brie she's a bit of a bitch. She is. She's always just bad-mouthing people, so I think she brings a lot of heat to herself.
yet I recognize that those feelings that I have can actually
Nicely trimmed eyebrows.
stop me from doing the very thing that
I love her! I love you, Brie! I've fallen in love with a feminist!
is what's needed to propel this movement and this new world that we're trying to step into.
Yeah, love is what's needed to propel this movement. The love of people smashing up the Seattle courthouse in the name of Black Lives. Man, this is... Come on, mate. Come on. All this race narrative, all this is doing is dividing us and causing riots and shit. Seriously, that's literally what's going on. That's so far from love. I don't think you're really helping by pushing this victim narrative, which is intrinsic to bloody revolution of Marxism. But anyways, I digress. Go on, Brie. Go on, darling.
To move forward.
Look, I think in this time, offering one another grace is.
But where's the grace? White people are treated like trash on a daily basis in the media. People are openly racist against white people now. White privilege, white people this, white people that. Hey, like, practice what you preach. What the fuck is this? This is lies.
Truly important. I mean, I learned from you because you offer a perspective that I will never have.
How? Is it because she's white? Why would that change your perspective just because your skin is white? Is that what she's insinuating?
And I think that it's important that we recognize that. And there are going to...
It's all this tacit pussy. What are you trying to say? Like, what are you talking about? You can't spit it out because it's going to sound probably racist and silly.
be missteps, and I think that you have to be okay with essentially being honest to say, hey, I misstepped here, I wasn't aware.
Of what?
Of course, be cautious, but not to the point that it paralyzes you.
But all you're saying and all your liberal mates are, think about race 24/7. I've heard recently, and you'll know this if you've watched the show, that chess is racist, that classical music is racist, that numbers are racist, mathematics, everything is racist. I hear this every day. It's rammed down my throat. And we're being taught to obsess over race. There are big companies like Apple and whatever whose employees, especially white ones, are encouraged to admit their whiteness and how they're all closet white supremacists. And yet you're saying, be cautious, but not to the point that it paralyzes you. This is Orwellian doublethink, where it's basically cognitive dissonance. They're telling you you should think about race all the time, but not to the point where you think about it all the time. This doesn't make any sense. It's a contradiction to their philosophy. But yet they'll say it anyways because, well, they want to look like good people. They don't have a solid argument, so they just commit the sin of doublethink.
I think right now what we're seeing is this need to solve. And nobody is a subject matter expert in this space. No.
No. There are plenty of experts in this space, actually. But people like you definitely are not solving it with these kind of conversations because, yeah, I think you should be a little bit more honest. This doesn't feel intellectually honest. Have you actually learned anything in the last 4 minutes? It feels like we've been here for about 2 hours already because it's so dull. But really, if you just came out and were just a bit more honest and not so tacit in what you're saying, then I think you could actually achieve what you're aiming to achieve and set it out from the beginning. We are here to talk about what? All you've done is pussyfoot around it, and you're not really being clear what you're talking about because this looks like kind of propaganda for the liberal agenda. But anyways, let us speak.
and we're all going to make missteps. You know what I mean?
What are you talking about?
So
What
I
misstep?
think continuing to be a nice person, we cannot overlook that. We can't overlook.
But you can overlook people smashing shit, shining lasers in police officers' eyes and blinding them, and a Blue Lives Matter protester getting run over the other day. We can overlook those things, but don't overlook anything else, of course.
What we're doing right now is having conversations, because that's important.
About what, though? About what? What? You're so wishy. See, all these celebs and lefties with their feels, it's so unclear what they want. It's just like they're emotional wrecks. They want to be relevant. They want to be current, and they're just emotional people. That's all I'm getting from this.
What we've done in the past generally is just kind of, oh, it's an uncomfortable conversation. I don't want to talk about it. I kind of know what happens.
What are we talking about, though? If you're so comfortable, tell me what the fuck you're talking about.
But it's taboo, and we need to remove that feeling, right? It's like, it's not taboo. It's real.
What isn't? What?
Let's talk about the things that happen, and let's talk about
what?
Forward.
What are you talking about?
I
wish they talked about Halo Infinite like this. Like, we got to fix it. We got to move forward. There's none of that. I think 343 and Microsoft need to get involved with Brie Larson's YouTube channel.
I feel the pull.
Her pupils are so dilated. She's so aroused. She's clearly a very neurotic person. Keep it going, babe.
We talked about this. It's like,
oh man, here we go. Go on, science the shit out of it, Brie.
Getting so burnt out.
Man, she's having a breakdown. What? She's anxious. She's freaking out. She's burned out. I mean, I would be as well if I was part of bullshit meetings like this. It's like Alcoholics Anonymous, but drinking is encouraged, this kind of group. I mean, fuck, that's the only way you can get through it. Just get hammered and then self-flagellate about race.
Because I was putting a lot of
my feelings, going back to feelings.
Pressure on myself, because I'm a white woman with privilege. Through some introspection, I was able to see that if what I want is peace, I have to feel peace within myself. And it doesn't take so much for me to get there. And I'm of way more use to the movement when I am fully embodying myself.
What are you talking about? Oh! So, man, it's... okay. So Newspeak, Orwellian Newspeak is designed to confuse and obfuscate what you're really saying. So, oh man, this is so good. I can't believe we're actually going to go back. But let's try to break down what Brie said.
Through some introspection, because...
Let's talk about the things that happen, and let's talk about a way forward.
All right, go for it, Brie.
I think I feel the pull. We talked about this. It's like I was getting so burnt out because I was putting a lot of pressure on myself, because I'm a white woman with privilege. Through some introspection, I was able to see that if what I want is peace, I have to feel peace within myself. And it doesn't take so much for me to get there.
This is Orwellian Newspeak. This makes no fucking sense at all. So she said, I felt a pull in reference to nothing at all. And then she said, I felt kind of burnt out. So she's at the end of her tether because she has white privilege. And then she said it's not difficult for her to get there. And she's not saying where the fuck she's going. So that is clear-cut Orwellian doublethink. I'm exhausted, I'm burned out, but it's easy for me to get there. So it's two contradictory statements. And it's kind of designed to appeal to people who are looking for a little bit of meaning in their life or looking for something, and they look up to a celebrity like this. And they're not switched on enough, and they're not interested enough in politics to really analyze what she's saying. And therefore, they just kind of nod along and think, oh, it sounds kind of clever. And that's how they get involved with all this feels. That's a bedrock of leftist politics. That's all you need is the feels. And then the semantics and the proof in the pudding, so to speak, of their leftist policies are kind of irrelevant so long as you just vote for people with sparkly blonde hair like Brie Larson. Well, I don't know what to say about this. I don't know what to fucking say about it other than Brie Larson's channel is shit. So I'm surprised we actually got at least 5 minutes through that video. I didn't think we were going to get that far. But we did. So I'm proud of you. I'm really proud of you. That was hard. That was hard. But, you know, we like to challenge you on the Johnny Massacre show, don't we? So finally for today, I can't even fucking remember what it was. We've done Halo. We've done Halo Infinite. We've done Brie Larson. And I'm so organised on the Johnny. Oh, fuck. The war on obesity. So apparently everyone's getting too fat in England. And if you're fat, it means that you're much more likely to die from the C word. So, yeah, there's actually an article on this. And it's paywalled. But guess what? There's a plugin, right, on Google Chrome. And if you install it, it gets rid of the paywall on all the news websites. So, not that I'm using that. I paid, of course. But anyways, I want to read you this. Actually, it's Firefox. I think it's Firefox. I fucking hope it's Firefox, because if it's not, you're not going to get this fucking article. But I can tell you roughly what's going on, whether we get to read it or not. So, yeah, as I said, the C word is really bad for your health, especially if you're fat. So, in England is especially fat. So, what they've decided to do is try to make people less fat in England so less people die of the C word. So, how do you think they're trying to stop people dying in England? Well, let's fucking Google it, because I can't get through this fucking paywall and my plugin isn't working. Right, here we go. So, we could read The Guardian, which is a hardcore left paper, which should be quite fun, actually. Let's go to The Guardian, why not? Let's go through the woke minefield of Guardian journalism. Hit me, baby. I'm ready for you. Fucking hell, this is so slow today. Maybe it's because I'm using Shitefox. I'm going to go back to Safari. Right, well, the internet is going mash up, so I'm going to have to entertain you with something to buy the time. Alright, well, oh, here it is. Britain's obesity strategy ignores the science. Dieting doesn't work, says The Guardian. Well, I can tell you right now, that is bullshit, because when I diet, it works very well. Man, the fucking internet is fucked right now, so I might have to cut the show short. Oh, okay, here we go. Thanks for bearing with me. So, here's what The Guardian is saying about Britain having to lose weight. Being overweight has never just been about the amount of calories you consume. The government's new obesity strategy, which includes mandating calorie displays on menus. That's a good idea. I fucking wish they did that, because the only way to lose weight is to burn more calories than you consume. So you have to know how many calories you're eating. That's perfect. Other things that the government mandate is trying to angle for in order to reduce obesity in England is offering Weight Watchers discounts and ending discount deals on unhealthy foods. And they say that this reflects the widely held misconception that weight loss can be achieved by restricting calories and fat. Okay, so the Guardian, you are so wrong, Guardian. You are so fucking wrong. Okay, so eating fat actually helps you burn calories. I tell you what makes you put on weight is not eating fat and is eating carbohydrates. Your body gets its energy source from carbs generally. And if you look at the data on how efficient your body is at converting carbs to energy and then storing fat, it's far less efficient than if you eat a lot of fat. So if you eat carbohydrates and your body uses carbohydrates generally for energy, what happens is your pancreas secretes a hormone. What is it fucking called? It excretes a hormone called, I've forgotten, and it converts the carbohydrates or sugars in your blood to glucose for immediate energy and glycogen. And I believe the glycogen is actually stored in your muscles for use later. And the rest of it is converted to fat. And it's quite a high fat conversion rate. It's something like 30-40%. But if you start eating fat predominantly and not eating many carbs at all, after about a week, your body will switch its energy source from carbohydrates and sugar basically to fat. And when you do that, it converts much more into usable energy and much less is retained as fat. That is a scientific fact. And so if you eat a lot of fat, it's amazing for long distance running. When I ran the Tokyo Marathon in the time of 3 hours 19, which is pretty fast, I stopped eating carbohydrates and started eating loads of fat, and my aerobic performance increased an insane amount. You would not fucking believe it. So The Guardian is completely wrong by saying usually weight loss is about restricting fat. And it's so fucking wrong about saying weight loss can be achieved by restricting calories. I guarantee this is written by a fatty. So the article is written by Andrew Olney. Let's look this guy up. Andrew, I bet you £1,000,000 he's got a British beer belly. Andrew Olney, Guardian. I think it's Andrew Olney. Yeah, this guy's always doing articles on this shit. Well, there's no picture of this guy. I really want to see what this guy looks like. I bet he's a fatty. So he's talking shit by saying you can't lose weight by restricting calories. So I've tried every fucking thing under the sun in order to shed body fat. I have run a fucking marathon. I have trained insane amounts. I've trained 7 days a week. I would run 2 hours at marathon pace on a Monday and a Friday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'd run an hour at marathon pace and then do more running on the weekend. I've mixed that up with weightlifting, with kickboxing. I've tried intermittent fasting, eating one meal a day in the evening every day for months and months and months. I've tried hardcore dieting, calorie cycling, where I'll eat a lot and then I won't eat for 3 days or even 4 days. And I tell you what, the only thing that will make you lose weight is watching your calories and making sure you eat the right amount of calories and you have a calorie deficit. Nothing else comes close to shedding weight. If you do that, you will lose weight. If you supplement that with eating mostly fats, unlike The Guardian says, and hardly any carbohydrates, and intermittent fasting, and other things like drinking apple cider vinegar before you sleep, all that shit, the weight will fly off even faster. But mainly it's all about calories. And the amount of calories you can eat is dictated by the amount of exercise you do. So there's a challenge, because you do loads of exercise, you want to eat more. And so it's about exercising, but mainly it's about calorie deficit, and the exercise affects the calorie deficit. So The Guardian is talking absolute shit here. And the guy who echoes my philosophy, he's a guy called Phil Maffetone. He trained the ultra marathon world champion 3 years in a row on his nutrition plan with everything I've just said, and you cannot do that unless it's effective. The Guardian says the reality is that tackling obesity requires a far greater rethink of our fraught relationship with eating, starting with the food and diet industry. From keto to paleo, superfoods to juice cleanses, clean eating and raw diets, we've been confronted with a dizzying array of dieting advice in recent years. But as with the widespread belief that calorie intake is directly proportional to weight gain, which it is, because fat people eat all the time and they're always pumping calories into their bodies. The Guardian says most of this information is completely useless. Complete lie, like most of the shit that comes out The Guardian. Indeed, the rate of recidivism with all the diets is an estimated 97%. What does that mean? Let's have a look. What the fuck does that mean? Recidivism. Recidivism. Noun, the tendency of a convicted criminal to reoffend. Wow. Indeed, the rate of recidivism with all diets is an estimated 97%. But it's like anything in life. Everyone says, I really want to do this, and then they just don't. That figure should give the government pause for thought. Of every 100 people who diet, an estimated 3 will manage to keep the weight off in the long term. Why is the government ignoring this evidence? Rather than mandating calorie labeling, the government should be worrying about what goes into many processed foods and ready meals. What are you fucking talking about? That's not what's making people fat. It's the amount of calories. And processed foods, of course, have more calories because there's loads of filler and shit and high calorie things, which are usually carbohydrates stuffed in there. Calorie labeling is exactly right, and that's what the government should do. Because that's also putting the power in the hands of the people, because the people ultimately have to make that choice. No one can make it for them. And if they can see what they're eating, calorie-wise, that's only going to help. The Guardian says, the extra ingredients and chemical enhancers that make food tastier have none of the nutritional value found in normal food groups. Nutritional value does not make you lose weight. You're conflating nutrients and phytonutrients with calories. This is completely different stuff. The Guardian says, these additives are directed at bliss points, the manufacturing name given to the amount of sugar, salt, and fat that optimizes flavor in a product. Nutrient low and additive rich, these foods encourage us to override our natural sense of when we're full, manipulating our appetites and leading us to eat more. In the 1980s, when low-fat products and desserts flavored with sugar and artificial sweeteners first entered the market, they were deemed healthier than their full-fat alternatives. This is actually true. But what first appeared helpful caused confusion. Evidence showed that the body didn't metabolize these products in the same way as full-fat alternatives, and people who consumed low-fat foods were likely to replace the lost fat with calories from carbohydrates. Look, there's no trick to do it. There's no magic pill you can take. You just have to stop fucking eating that shit. If you go on a 2-week no carb diet, no carbs at all, your body will go into a hard reset. You'll become fat adapted, and then you can slowly reintroduce carbohydrates into your diet, and then you can see which affect your blood sugar and which don't, which make you excited, which basically make you retain more fat, which make you more susceptible to swelling, which make you more susceptible to mood swings. That's the best way to get rid of carbs. This author doesn't know any of that stuff. The author says people trying to lose weight for aesthetic reasons found that by restricting their calorie consumption with low-fat alternatives, they were interfering with their body's delicate set point, the weight range that our bodies are genetically and biologically predisposed to maintain. Got any evidence for that? So what they don't understand is that eating oily, rich foods make you want to consume less because they're broken down much slower by the body. So you eat some fatty meat, perfect, loads of fat in there, you feel full for ages, and the protein also fills you up. Takes a long time to digest, as opposed to carbs, which are in and out super quick. The Guardian says, and some have found their continual calorie restriction can paradoxically lower your metabolic thermostat, meaning your body works harder to decrease the rate at which you burn calories. This is the biggest load of bullshit ever. It's saying if you restrict the amount of calories you put in your body, it means your metabolism will change, and it's basically saying you're going to get fat. That's literally impossible. If you have a calorie deficit, in the article it says calorie restriction, that literally means your body's not getting enough calories to make any mass. So it's scientifically impossible to put it on. It's literally impossible. This must be written by a fat person. They go on to say restricting the number of calories you consume often means the pounds go on, not off, which is complete fucking lie. The only way they're going to go on is you restrict it too much and then you rebound hard, which is basically a carbohydrate, sugar, happy chemical addiction, and then you're going to have a calorie surplus. So yeah, the UK is trying to combat obesity, and everyone has their opinion on it, of course. So the UK plans weight loss drive to ready UK for expected COVID-19 second wave. I mean, fucking hell, man. Look, just tell people, if you're fat, you're gonna fucking die. That's all you need to tell people. And then let the people fucking do it themselves. You don't want some nanny state trying to force people to change what they eat. England has a culture of eating shitty food. It's gonna be very, very hard to reverse. So, yeah, this is a thing the government are trying to push, and they're kind of debating right now about what to do about it. Pretty interesting, really. So how to fix obesity? Let me help you. I can do this in 3 words. Stop fucking eating. Period. That's it. Stop, full stop, fucking full stop, eating, full stop. All capitalized. Make that your slogan. Stick it on a billboard. That's all you need to fucking do. That's it. That's it. You don't have to confuse it with, well, if you have less calories, you're No. If you stop fucking eating, you're going to lose fucking weight. And that's it. That's all you have to do. Out here in Japan, everyone's so fucking thin. They don't have a culture of piling shit onto a plate. They've got a culture of small dishes and stuff. So it's a cultural thing. In England, egg and chips, mate. Egg and chips and pie bangers and fucking mash, mate. Fish and fucking chips. Smash you in the face with it, blood. That's part of our culture. Removing that is going to be quite difficult. Part of the government scheme is apparently they're going to get bikes and they're going to encourage people to cycle. It doesn't matter how much you cycle. You're still going to be fat fuck if you're addicted to carbs. And if you cycle, you're just going to want to eat more if you're of that mentality. You need to explain to people. You need to have a calorie deficit. This is how you work out the amount of calories, your threshold where you maintain your weight. And when you go 500 calories under that, you lose half a kilogram per week or a pound. If you go 1,000 calories under your maintenance threshold, you're going to lose 1 kilogram a week or about 2 pounds. That's all you need to tell people how to do that. Stop fucking eating and do some exercise. Bang. That's it. That's it. That's it. I just solved the obesity problem in England. But you can't force people. They can only make the change if they really want to do it themselves. So give them the scientific information, give them the stats, give them the data. Fat fucking chance that's going to happen with the C word because it's keeping people nicely controlled inside. But anyways, if you give people the scientific data and you tell them the facts, which are you're much more likely to die from this, and you tell them basically how to fix it, get some fit bird with big tits to show you how to do it on the TV, then all the men are going to do it. The women want to aspire to be like her. They'll probably copy her. Get some well-fit bird to give the science and explain how to basically explain what I just said, and that's going to fix everything. There you go. So that's about it for today. I got so much fucking news. I got tons of it, but I'm keeping a little bit in the chamber for the next Johnny Massacre show. I did actually watch the whole of Star Wars Episode 7, Force Awakens, and I paused it every time there was a woke moment, and I criticized it. And I'm going to put that into a montage called Everything Woke with Star Wars Episode 7, ripping off Cinema Sins a little bit. And that great YouTube channel, check it out if you haven't. And yeah, that'll be coming soon. So anyone who subscribes to my channel because of the Star Wars stuff, you might quite like that. And that's about it. Tomorrow I'm going to see my Japanese mate. We're going to have a laugh. We're going to cook some food. Going to help her out a little bit with her life. That's going to be fun because I love helping people. And yeah, that's about it for today. And I'll tell you what, mate. You better be back for the next video. Otherwise, I'll be coming round your house. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell because that is what all those other cunts tell you to do. Laters.